Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always excited about coming forward. I know I'm late. It's a busy week, y'all. I got a lot going on, and I have to give myself grace because it is something life-changing that's happened to me this week. And, I give myself grace to catch up to all of the stuff that's going on. Because there's a couple of things going on. I have my voyeur component going on where I'm just observant. And then I have the component of myself that's active and moving around going on. So, I have a number of things happening simultaneously. And I'm just processing them all. And I want to speak to that to you today. I want to tell you guys something. If you don't pay attention to the signs of your life, that's on you. If you don't pay attention to the signs of your life and you have the ability to do something about it, that's on you. Woe to you. If people tell you things, you should not follow everything that people tell you, but you should take it into consideration. Till it a little bit in the soil of your mind. Because they may just be telling you the truth. Today I want to speak to betrayal. Because, friend, betrayal never happens at a distance. You can't betray me if I don't know you. How you going to betray? I don't know you. You can't betray me if I don't have a relationship with you. Even if you think we have a relationship and it's one-sided. If I don't have that same type of dynamic going on with you, you're in a one-sided betrayal, friend. You on your own. I have nothing to do with that. The only way you can betray someone, friend, is if that person trusted you, knew of you, and allowed you in. Those are the only ways you can betray somebody. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. It's fake. It's acting. And a lot of times the person that betrays you showed you who they were. You've seen who this person was sometime or another along your journey with this person. It's not shocking. Like, oh my goodness. No. God has not created us in that way. God is not the type of guy that blindsides you. That does not mean that you don't have shocking moments in your life. You do. The enemy is great at shocking. He's the type of guy that waits in the dark alley for you and jumps out on you. Because that's all he has. But in our innate system of things, the way that we move and communicate amongst one another, God builds within us capacities for us to receive some sort of stimulus that lets us know to beware or to be mindful or to be watchful of things. The mind connects patterns. There's pattern recognition sequences set up in our system. So we will know if the criteria has presented itself before. And then that will spawn on the mind to say, well, I need to pay attention to that. This is a pattern here. But if you don't pay attention to it, that's on you. You have to take what comes from it. A lot of times, I'm the type of person that many people in my family consider me a loner, because I am a loner. I'm a loner because I observe life, and I tell you, I see things, and I don't act like I don't see them. I've had long-lasting friendships. I've had some long-lasting relationships. I just have not had one consecutively after the next. I haven't had relationships that lasted decades. Romantic ones. I haven't. And that might be because of the pattern recognition software that's running within my whole system. Because when I start to see things, I can't unsee them. I'm not set up in a way where I have to, and I don't want to make this about me, where I have to fake myself out to believe it's not what it's showing itself to be. Have you ever seen people, whether friendships or romantic relationships, whatever, have a duration of time that they've been friends or in relationships with one another in? And then they end on one person does something extremely disingenuous to another when it's over. You sit there and you say, well, darn, I would expect them to have a different regard for each other. I mean, after that amount of time, at least some kind of a regard. But it's as if that person ignored for so long that when the opportunity presented itself for the other to show their true nature, whether it was an opportunity for them to capitalize on the relationship and bounce, or whether it was this opportunity to it just fell apart and now there's nothing to lose and I'm just going to show you who I am. It's always that other side of the person that shows up. They take that mask off and you see them for who they really are, and it's like, dang. And a lot of people are shocked at that. But to me, I'm not shocked. I'm sitting there like, I told you so. I knew this all along, friend. I was trying to tell you. But you don't want to listen to me. But ta-da! You know what I mean? I'm going to give you an example. Jesus and Judas. This is the prime example of this. I was driving thinking about this. Jesus and Judas. Judas was one of the 12 disciples. Judas was a regular person before he came in contact with Jesus. He wasn't doing anything monumental. He had nothing that he could give to Jesus. Nothing. Except for an open heart, a pure heart. That's all he required of Judas. To be teachable. To come into this environment and allow me to show you some stuff. And then in me showing you some stuff, I need you to use your life experiences and make it your own and go out and help somebody else with it. He multiplied himself into Judas and all the other 12. He made Judas somebody. legitimately. Judas was not the Judas he was after he met Jesus before he came in contact with Jesus. He became. Jesus gave him purpose. Put him on the map. Made him proud. Allowed him the ability to go amongst men with his chest poked out and to stand in purpose and be a part of something honorable. He gave him a title. He trusted Judas. He trusted Judas so much he made him treasurer. Judas was the treasurer of the bag of all the money that the 12 disciples would get from all their workings. He trusted him. Judas was not just some disciple. He was trusted. He was a treasurer. The only one. Yet Judas would show certain things along the way. The betrayal that Judas acted upon towards Jesus and the 12 disciples, because when he set Jesus up, he undermined everybody. It was a betrayal to everything. He went completely for self. But he showed subtle characteristics of this along the way. In the book of John, it speaks to them finding out that Judas would steal some of the money here and there. Character flaw. Character flaw. How do you steal money from God? Oh, you say you're in this because you love it. You want all the benefits of the love of this. You want to be aligned to me. You want to be my right-hand man. You want to be the one to hold my bag, the one that partake of my wealth. The gatekeeper. And none of the other 12 disciples cared. You never hear the disciples worrying about Judas having this role. Why? Because they did not get into it for gain. Sure, let Judas have the role of treasurer. The only person that was worried about the bag, about the money, was Judas. Nobody else cared. Everybody else was vested for a spiritual purpose. For the love. But Judas, through his own actions, would speak and look and present himself as if he was aligned for the love. But really, he was aligned for opportunity. He wanted to go from the farm to the priesthood. He didn't want to stay as he was before. He wanted all the benefits that came from being aligned to the power of Jesus, because he saw it as prestigious. He became someone from this alignment. It gave him confidence. It made him feel a part of something significant. Yet in that, he gets caught stealing here and there from the treasury. a significant character flaw that he somehow wiggles his way out of each time, because he's selling you on, I'm a good person, I love God. He's got all the right outward projections, the tone of his voice in which he says it. Oh, Jesus, I didn't steal the money. It's a misunderstanding. I took it and I did that and I did this with it. I would never do that. Meanwhile, nobody puts an emphasis on it. Because they never knew what greater thing it would lead to. They were equating it to how they really felt. You see, in order for them to really capture the level of deception that Judas would exhibit, they would have either had to have come in contact with something like that before, or they themselves would have to have that element going on within them. And because they didn't catch it, it lets me know that they never saw it before. And they did not have it within them. Judas gets to a place where he sees the fullness of his journey with Jesus is coming to an end. The guy that put him on the map, the guy that gave him a level of prestige, if you want to call it that, amongst people that he would never, that without Jesus, he would never have been prestigious around. He'd have just been a regular person. There would probably have been other people that outshined Judas. He would not have shined in the light that he shined in had he not come in contact with Jesus. Jesus gave him his shine. Taught him how to dust himself off and set himself apart. Gave him confidence. Gave him a title, a name. Made him a part of a collective, a righteous collective. Surely nobody in the collective was perfect. They all came from diverse backgrounds. But they all stood for something righteous. They were a light within the community. They were a righteous house within a community, a distinct house, something that one would take pride in, saying that they were a part of. Judas will be adopted into this. And when he saw that Jesus would be transitioning, he could see the writing on the wall. First, it started with Mary coming and anointing Jesus' head with oil. He goes out immediately and he begins to create a space for himself. He defaults to betrayal. He sees the writing on the wall with the Last Supper and Jesus saying that he's going to be betrayed and all this kind of stuff. He sees that people are starting to see him for what he is, but he's like, okay, I see something, but where do I land in this? His truest nature begins to show. That nature that has shown itself all along. They just never paid attention to it. So there was no real reason for them to be surprised. Because had they paid attention, there really wouldn't have been any surprise. Had they paid attention, there would be no betrayal. He would have had to go betray somebody else. But because Jesus adopted these 12 for life, he said, I'm going to make a commitment for life. We locked in. It is what it is. In the end, Jesus would be betrayed by Judas, and it would lead to Jesus' crucifixion. Judas would not only betray Jesus, Judas would betray the entire integrity of the house. Everybody. All of these people that he says he loves so much, because of his own insecurity, his own set of fears, even jealousy, deep-rooted frustrations, levels of internal inadequacy, he will betray the entire house. All of his brethren that he sat and broke bread with and said he loved. And he would, most importantly, betray the beloved, the Son of God, that gave him an opportunity that he never would have had otherwise. Surely Judas could say, well, I had all of these gifts and I was great and that's why Jesus chose me and I would have been great regardless. That's a hypothetical. There's no proof in that. Because he was not great before he got with Jesus. He was Judas. It was Jesus that put him on the map. And it does not mean that Judas did not come to the table with gifts. Jesus was supportive of Judas was supportive of Jesus' endeavors. He had a role to play. And in that role, he played it. But what overshadowed his role was his internal system, his level of deep-rooted insecurity. He was fundamentally insecure. And this is why he's always trying to nickel and dime and steal, because of his own internal level of inadequacy. And these are ways that God shows you who is who in your life. It's for you to see it. And not to wait for the betrayal to happen. Not to wait for the betrayal to occur and then for the betrayal to not only betray you, but it betray all that surrounds you and loves you. Friend. If you are not able to look at your life and see your life for what it is and the people in your life for what they are, then you've got to accept whatever comes. You've got to be okay with allowing whatever fears that you have in your heart and your mind to project themselves in your life. Because that's what comes when you are not strong enough to pay attention and see things for what they really are when they present themselves in your life. This is what came to me today. For me, there's no frustration in that because I see things for what they are. I pray for clarity. And I pray for the strength when I pray for clarity to be able to face those things and to have the tools available to be able to handle them and to move wisely with the information that I get from the clarity, so that I'm not betrayed by someone that has shown me time and time again who they are. Even if I have to look cold and distant, I'd rather look that way. I'd rather look that way because I know within myself that that's not who I am. And that in itself is a tool that the enemy uses to shame those that see him for who he truly is. I'll be that. I'll be that. If Jesus saw Judas for what he truly was. Judas was part of the plan. And a lot of times in life, friend, that's how it is. People are just part of the plan. Surely, Judas betrayed Jesus, and he betrayed all of the house, all of those that made up the house, the 12. He betrayed everyone. But most importantly, Judas betrayed himself. Because Jesus said the betrayal that Judas showed was a betrayal that put him in a category that it was better for him not to even be born. Some things you do have spiritual weight. In some houses you don't betray. And that was Jesus's way of telling Judas that he made a mistake. That betrayal was a mistake, and a very vital mistake. Jesus would overcome. The house would go on. Friend, the vine will grow and it will become fuller and fuller. Look at how full the vine is now. I'm sitting here talking to you about the same vine. The vine that Judas betrayed. Look how full it is. In him betraying Jesus, he will provoke a domino effect that he himself knew nothing of. All because he's looking to safeguard his own self by way of the things that were for the house. He looked to take for himself. And this domino effect would cause the crucifixion of Jesus. That would fulfill prophecy. And that would allow Jesus to overcome in ways that we really don't know the fullness of even now. And we've gotten a bird's eye view. We've got scripture to support. The monumental gifts of him overcoming. And it will turn Judas to dust. The vine will go on, just without Judas. He will turn to dust. Be strong enough to face things for what they are, even if you've got to face them alone. Because I'm here to tell you that there will come a time when people will come back and say, you know what, you were right. I guarantee you. You're loved more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.